We're going to talk about the 6 position battles that coming into training camp, Chicago Bears fans to keep an eye out the most. These position battles range from the offensive line to the defensive backfield to everything. So we're going to talk about that and how that can help shape and mold the identity of the Chicago Bears team. Also, there was an ESPN article written that throws some doubt on the actual skill of the Chicago Bears offensive players. I want to talk a little bit about that. Plus, on today's episode, of course, we're going to dive into the mailbag, and y'all are about to see me cook Darius to levels and degrees that I've never cooked anybody before. Not really. Darius is my brother, but we're about to have a lot of fun with it. All that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And we're going to start off with this. Every training camp, there are position battles to varying degrees, right? You, of course, come in with players that you do expect to be able, that you expect to be your starters, and Bears have a lot of that, right? So the fact that the Bears are no longer just building, we are absolutely now in win-now mode. We are a playoff team. We won a playoff game, 11 games last year. We're trying to be better. And the competition gets real every year. And I say this with every sport. Every year that you don't improve and get better in some shape, form, or fashion, and teams around you do, you technically got worse. And position battles are a big part that come into that help breed kind of the best version of the team. And so while the Bears, made some moves, definitely in some places that we expect to get, the internal battle is also going to be a place that can help the Chicago Bears improve as a team as well. And so let's talk about these position battles. The first one that I want to talk about is the backup defensive tackle battle. Now, Gervon Dexter and Grady Jarrett are widely expected to be the starters. We haven't really heard anything that's going to change. The hope on that is that Gervon Dexter continues to take a step forward, and then Grady Jarrett has a much better second season than he did first season with the Chicago Bears. And sometimes that happens with veterans. Of course, he had his injuries as well, so there's that part of it. But the backup rotation is one to watch. You have Neville Gallimore, Kentavius Street, James Lynch, and Jordan Vandenberg. Now, I've already talked about it. I think that James Lynch is probably going to be on his way out. I think Jordan Vandenberg already has shown enough to where they don't need that safety net of a third veteran option out there. So I think if you're looking at any kind of cap casualty out of those, 4 players, that he's going to be the main one. So then it comes down to a battle between Neville Gallimore, Kentavius Street, and Jordan Vandenberg. And this is where it's going to get very interesting, right? Jordan Vandenberg, I do think, is going to be a lot more ready than what people are giving him credit for. But we also know that, with the ability to run stop and the size that Neville Gallimore has, he's definitely going to be in there. He got a 2-year contract, so it definitely feels like he's going to be a lock for the rotation, right? So the other 3. So now that comes down. We've already eliminated James Lynch. I don't think he's going to be on the final 53. You have your starters in Grady Jarrett and Gervon Dexter. Neville Gallimore got the 2-year deal. He's going to be in the rotation. So it comes down to Kentavius Street and Jordan Vandenberg. This is going to be the interesting part to watch, because if Vandenberg does put some pressure on these veterans and Dennis Allen feels comfortable using him, that's exactly what you want. Like I say this all the time with the rookies. You want your rookies to push your veterans. And if you even have to think about, hey, maybe we should go ahead and give this rookie more snaps than what you expected coming into the season, that means that draft pick is probably going to be a win for you. So that's definitely a position battle to watch. Kind of have already shown my hands on where I think it's going to go. It really is the wild card in this is how ready is really Jordan Vandenberg? How ready is he in year one? And if he is ready to go, it says a lot about where this defensive line can go. Like overall, we know we need better production from our front 4. I've already done the episode where we got in the weeds of how that compares to other teams around the league, but you got to get that done. So overall, I'll say this, we have talent in this defensive tackle room. No doubt about it. We don't have kind of we don't have the elite talent there, at least not the shaped up or show it yet, but we got talent in this defensive tackle rotation. We just got to see how it's going to work out. The next group comes down to the running back 3 battle. We already know running back 1, 2, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai. But now you have 4 guys that are really fighting out for that running back 3 position. Roschon Johnson, Britton Brown, Salvon Ahmed, and Coleman Bennett. And I've said this multiple times, do not count out Coleman Bennett to be the one to win this, even as an undrafted rookie. Like, this is a guy that Coleman Bennett, as a player and what he did in college, like, and the ability as a dual threat running back to offer size, like, Coleman Bennett brings just about everything we had hoped over the last few years we were going to see from Roschon Johnson, but he brings it, and he, like, again, he hasn't played in the NFL, so I can't really say he's more consistent, but, with Roschon and the injuries last year, and even what we saw from him last season in regards to, like, he played more special team snaps than he did in anything else, because he's not a consistent player. And so, it's wide open for running back 3. Coleman Bennett is my favorite to win it out of this because he has that 6 foot, 210-pound frame that he has there. Look at his last year in college, 764 yards, an average of 4.9 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. Also had 314 yards passing, catching, receiving as well. Like, that's over 1,000 yards. Now, I'm not saying he's going to have the same impact, but again, we know how important dual threat running backs are to Ben Johnson's system, and Coleman Bennett is a guy that absolutely can push for that. And for a lot of Bears fans, they're over Roschon. Like, I would not be surprised if Roschon doesn't make the final 53. Would not be surprised at it at all. So if Roschon doesn't make the final 53, it comes down to a battle between Britton Brown, Salvon Ahmed, and Coleman Bennett. My bet would be on Coleman Bennett because I think that he has that talent. He has the exact type of skill set, and he offers a different running style than what we have from Kyle Monangai. Like, Kyle Monangai is a bruiser, make no mistake about it. But the size that Coleman Bennett has there and how he can add some contrast in that backfield, he's the guy. Even as an undrafted rookie, I think he's the guy that you really have to look at. They're going to make their push. And, I would not be surprised if Coleman Bennett has surprises people. Maybe not right out of training camp. Maybe it's more something as the season goes on. But Coleman Bennett's going to put his imprint on this, and this is definitely a battle to watch out. Now, we're getting into the starters. We talked about backups in the DT, the backup defensive tackle, and then the backup running back. But let's talk about the starting cornerback position. That's the CB2 position. This is a battle between Tyrique Stevenson and Malik Muhammad. Tyrique is a guy that, who's sitting on the bench by the end of the year. And even though I think it's come out and they were like, maybe we're a little bit too harsh in benching him. But at the end of the day, last year was Tyrique Stevenson's opportunity to show that he could do more. With injuries to Kyler Gordon, injuries to Jalen Johnson, injuries all up and down. The person he shared the CB2, Terrell Smith, also injured for the majority of, missed the entirety of the season. Then the Bears bring in Malik Muhammad, a guy that has a reputation of shutting down wide receivers in college football. And he's come in. He's a 4th-round draft pick, right? And Malik Muhammad is coming in with something to prove with this. This battle feels like a battle that it should be Stevenson's own. He's the guy with experience. He has a year of experience under Dennis Allen's system. But I do think this is going to be an intense battle that is going to come down to the wire because Malik Muhammad is not going quietly into the win. Now, the thing that could make this, mute point is Kyler Gordon even going to be healthy to where Malik Muhammad may end up having to play some nickel here, even though it's not necessarily his best skill set, but he may have to play some nickel. But overall, I'll say this, do not be surprised if by the end of the season, especially if the kind of up and down nature of play that we've seen from Tyrique Stevenson over his entire Chicago Bears tenure ends up him on the outside looking in and him not being the CB2 anymore by the end of this season. And if you let a rookie in Malik Muhammad get it and how hungry he is and the desire that he has, you may not ever get that back. Next up, the wide receiver 3 position. Now, this is a position that comes down to Kalif Raymond, Jahdae Walker, and Zavion Thomas. Now, I've made it known that I think Kalif Raymond's going to come away with the wide receiver 3 role, but I think all these guys are going to play wide receiver 3. They're all going to lock up. I would not be surprised if Raymond and his familiarity with the system is what gets him to be named as the official wide receiver 3. But the thing that I'm looking at more about this, and I'm excited about this battle, is the varying type of skill sets that you have from these guys. Kalif Raymond, Jahdae Walker, and Zavion Thomas are all very different types of wide receivers. And I think that opens up the floor to exactly what we can do as far as matchup-wise with this team, which is exactly where Ben Johnson likes us to be at, so that's a good thing. Kalif Raymond's going to have the advantage. Zavion Thomas has been stellar in OTAs, and it's going to make that battle interesting, but don't overlook, some people are starting to overlook Jahdae Walker too. Jahade's going to come in here and put some pressure in this wide receiver room also, and it's going to be a fun battle to watch. Next up, the left tackle battle. This one is probably going to go to Braxton Jones. I think what we've seen so far, if we're just being 100% honest, is that Theo Benedet is more of a swing tackle, a backup tackle. His nature has been up and down, right? But then you have Jedrick Wills, who's a guy that, I just talked about in yesterday's episode. I don't know if he's even going to make the final 53-man roster. He's not been overwhelming or underwhelming. He hasn't been whelmed either. He's just kind of there. And that's really all we've heard about him so far in OTAs. He's just kind of there. Now, Still much training camp for him to turn heads and get back to the player that he was prior to injury. And if he does that, I think it makes this battle more interesting. But I think Braxton Jones, as things stand now, unless we hear something different from Theo Benedet, is probably going to win the left tackle position. And hopefully he has his best season yet, especially as he's going to be a unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. So we'll see what's going to happen there. And then the last position battle for this team, the center position. Now, while it was kind of expected that Garrett Bradbury, as the veteran, was just going to get it, but I'll tell you this, even with Drew Dalman's surprise retirement and the fact that we drafted Logan Jones, and the things that we've heard about Logan Jones, I would not assume that Garrett Bradbury is going to be the starting center. Now, the safe bet is Garrett Bradbury, right? That's still the safe bet, is that he's going to walk away as the starting center. But I don't think that that you can just say that it's just a foregone conclusion that he's necessarily going to get it. And it's an open battle. Logan Jones is coming here to put some pressure on that. And if he does walk away with it, I think it'd be a great thing to say in regards to it. So let's see. But that's the position battles that I have: the starting center, starting left tackle, the wide receiver 3, the cornerback 2, the running back 3, and then the backup defensive tackle rotation are the battles to watch for the Chicago Bears in training camp. But I want to get into this before we jump into the mailbag, where I'm going to cook my brother Darius a little bit. I do want to talk about this Bill Barnwell of ESPN, talked about the Chicago Bears, right? And the Bears, as far as the offense, while a lot of people are expecting the Bears offense to really be explosive, he throws a little bit of cold water on that and asks how much of these guys would be productive if it wasn't for Ben Johnson's play call. And he says this is a young group with real upside, but I also get the sense that it wouldn't be quite as appealing or productive with a less compelling play caller. Now, I don't take this as like slander or anything. I think when you have somebody that's as talented of a play caller as Ben Johnson, it's natural to ask, like, all right, how good are these guys going to be if it wasn't for Ben Johnson being the one to call the plays? But I do think you're overlooking like there's talent in Rome Odunze. That's why he was drafted and projected to be drafted as high as he was. There's talent with Luther Burden. There's talent with Kyle Monangai. There's talent with DeAndre Swift. There's talent, all over this team with Colston Loveland, like Cole Kmet. Like, there's legitimate talent here. So I don't think that it's this thing where we can just say that, yeah, Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson definitely ups the ceiling. That's why you bring him in as a head coach. But I think that there's still guys in regards to that you look at and you say, like, let's not act like this isn't talented and it's just Ben Johnson and his orchestration of it that's gotten the Bears to where it is. No, it's the fact that we have talent and talent that he can use in varying degrees. It all works in synergy. It's just one of those things where doubt is going to always come to the Chicago Bears. It is what it is. The Bears could win a Super Bowl, and the immediate reaction from a lot of the national media would be like, oh, well, they only won because X player on X team was injured. They would immediately go to trying to find ways why the other teams are the reason why the Bears were winning, much less than it be the Bears themselves. That's just the reality of it. I've gotten to this point where I understand this now. I'm not surprised by it anymore. The Bears are always going to be judged by the way that the Bears have been judged this whole entire time. That's not going to change. It is what it is. And now we just got to look at it and say, all right, cool. Like, just use that more as bulletin board material. Let's go out here and get these dubs. We're talking about going out here and getting these dubs. Let's get into the mailbag portion of today's episode. This first voicemail, man, this one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas, man. I just had to call in and pick on my boy Haize because, he tends to pick on me, so I'm going to pick on him back. Shit, fuck it. He had his little nerdy episode today. Y'all know how he is. He get all analytical. He's kind of a dork sometimes. But my argument is this, okay? I get the analytics have their place. They do. But I would rather guys just be so dominant that we don't need analytics to look at it and go, okay, he's making an impact. Like, for example, Rome, we harp on Caleb's completion percentage, but Rome is sitting there with a 45% catch rate. Okay? How much better would his completion percentage been had guys just caught the fucking ball? How many more yards would he have had if guys just caught the fucking ball? So I look at it and say, whatever it is that Caleb does statistically this year, hey man, I just want to look at the damn tape on the TV. The way they did in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Just look at the damn tape on the TV and tell me is he balling? And he was at that point last year, and that's why nobody doubts him, because we saw it with our eyes. And nobody go look at analytics. We saw it with our eyes. For Javon Dexter, for example, if you got to keep bringing up analytics in order to make him look good, Haize, he's not that fucking good, dude. He's just not, brother. He's just not. Do you feel like when Javon Dexter is on the field that he's a dominant force? Do you? And out of them 6.5 sacks, How many of that shit was in garbage time? How many impactful plays did we see where we really needed one, and a Javon Dexter stepped up? So that's my point. I ain't even looking at Javon Dexter's analytics. I just want to see that when I look on the field, I see that he is an obvious, impactful player. And I think that that's where the focus needs to be. Focus on the Bears being so damn good that nobody has to bring up stats to defend them, because you know they're going to come after us next year. Even if we have a winning season, they're going to come after us next year. And I want to be able to say that we look so dominant that we ain't even got to refer to them little nerdy-ass PFFs and all that shit that you like to look at. You know, I just had to pick on you, you know, because you nerded out a little bit on this last episode on this Tuesday evening. And I had to just call and give you some shit about it. Analytics are good. I just want the motherfucker to look so dominant. You didn't need analytics with that 2018 defense, did you? Nope. First snap of the game, you saw that they were who they were. So that's all I want to see, man, out of the defense and the offense. Texas up, bear down.
First of all, listen, I get it that you're from Texas, and I know that commonly in Texas, if you have to count more than the number of fingers that you have, you get a little cross-eyed and you lose your momentum a little bit. And I understand that you lose your frame of mind. First off, the hyperbole of saying that Javon Dexter's dominant, nobody would ever make the case that Javon Dexter's dominant. But the point is that he's a perfectly solid starting defensive tackle, and most defensive tackles are going to be about the way that Javon Dexter plays. But when you talk about the episode in which I went heavy analytics, I think because the numbers were thrown at you, and I know you can't count very well, that then you kind of you kind of lost the point. It wasn't to say, it was specifically to say, hey, this is where Caleb is. And for people that are saying, hey, what does Caleb need to do to get MVP? Let's compare that to other MVPs. So I compared him to the last 3 MVPs that were quarterbacks and what he needs to do to get there. It wasn't some margin to say, we can judge if he's good or not. And it wasn't even heavy analytics. Those are just numbers and averages. Like I know that counting is very hard for you. I know that the math program down in Texas actually ranked towards like one of the bottom third of all the states in the world. So I understand that happens there. You know, Texas can't count a lot. But Darius, come on, bro. Like you gotta understand what analytics are used, because the eye test doesn't tell you everything. You, of course, do want to pair that with the eye test, but the analytics also tell you how you get there. Yes, the results matter, but how, what's in the margins? That's what the point of analytics are. I agree with you, though. People try to throw analytics and be like, because the PFF grade, that means that he's better than X. And no, you have to look at all of the things to bring it together, but the specific way in that episode was used wasn't to be nerdy, and it wasn't even nerdy, because then I got into throw rate and stuff like that, which I didn't do. I get it, Darius. You need things to boil down and be baseline for you. So let me do that for you, because I know you're a little slow, and I know you rode that red bus. But it's to simply say this: completion percentage, even for Caleb, because that was an analytic that's tracked. Even if Caleb, of course, you're never gonna completely eliminate drops. There's gonna be some drops. Even if you get the Bears wide receivers to the league average of drops, Caleb Williams is still right at 60%, which is still not good enough to get it. Like, this thought process of blaming just the drops on Caleb Williams' completion percentage, it's not. It's the drops plus the missed throws and the underthrows that he has on some of the gimmies. It's a combination of all of that, and that's backed up by data and by the eye test. But then again, we don't even know if Darius can see very well. So there's that part of it too. All right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Meech.
Bobby, hey, C-Dubber, Steve-O, Kevo, what up? It's your boy, Big Mecho. What up, Charlie Wale? I'm back. Bro, it's been a minute since I done been with y'all brothers, man. Bro, it's been a good trip, bro. We've been on, man. We've been on the highs and the lows and the highs, the ups and downs. Been rocking with y'all for about what's this, the 5th season now that we've been in? Oh my God, bro. But man, let's get to it. I got my predictions coming in. This year, I think our record will be either, I'm gonna say, between 13-4 or 12-5. I'm still on the high from last year. Hey, Bobby, you remember when I was talking last year? You was talking about I was drinking the Kool-Aid too early. What happened? See? You got to believe, baby. Get me in there. Get me in there. But my predictions for Caleb Williams, I have him going 65% this year with a total of 4,334 yards. He gonna cook. He gonna cook this year. I got Burton to probably jump Rome. If I got Burton to probably jump Rome this year, man, probably have a better season than Rome. Hey, I got our boy, forgot his name that quick, but I got him to have 11 sacks this year. I got our boy to have 11 sacks coming out. I think he's going to be a dog this year. I've seen him in the weight room doing his thing. This contract season, for a lot of them, I got Sweat to mount up to what our boy got as well, man. I got him to round out. Maybe around 10 again, but maybe 12 depending on how the other side get off. But I got our line shaping up this year and doing a better job, bro. I got Colston to probably come way more than what he had last year. What he had 6 something. I think he gonna measure that up. He gonna get a close to about 8 because we got a lot of weapons to spread around with, man. So this year is gonna be a blessing, bro. But like I said, I got Caleb to have 4,334 yards. It's gonna be a wonderful season, guys. Get ready. Hey man, call Marifa up, bro. Get our brothers back, him and Barry, bro. That's my time, bro. I love y'all, man. Shot town up and bear down on the Packer for life. We out.
Mainly because I'm in a silly mood because of Darius's voicemail. Meech, man, what the fuck was that, bro? Like, you just cut an intro. It took 2 minutes before you actually said anything. Like, you just cut a goddamn WWE promo on a voicemail before you got to your point. What are we doing here, bro? Now, you know we love you. You're a big part of the show here. Your family here. That's why I feel comfortable throwing a little joke at you. Don't get offended by it. But yeah, bro, like, the promo wasn't needed. But I will say this, man. All jokes aside, predictions are cool and it's great. And I like where your mind is with it. But I think the important thing to look at with this team is that we truly have balance. That's the thing that makes this team special, that we have real balance on this team up and down. And so regardless of who breaks out or whatever else, the balance on this team is going to get, in the multitude of weapons that we have, there's going to be a lot of people that can take advantage of this and use this to have a great season. And let's hope that that's what happens for this Bears team. All right, let's get into this last voicemail that we have, man. This one's from the 609.
We calling back, trying to get back in the mix. But see some of these proposals about what could happen. Man, I think trying to get the boy Hightower at Pittsburgh should be top priority, meaning do what it takes. Get rid of whoever we got to get rid of, whether it's Tyrique, another person. I think we should make a power move on him, and then we focus next draft on the trenches, meaning 80-20 on the trenches, meaning we got to find some dogs. We got to find 3 technique. We need to find somebody. We need to find something. You know what I mean? Something serious, something proven. And then we got to pay, we got a couple guys that have to be paid. Whether we exercise a 5th-year option with Caleb, but we got to pay our O-lineman. We got to pay him. He deserved it. He's put but I think that 5th-year option is going to be off the table. Because I expect Caleb to put up 35 or more touchdowns. I think he's going to put up 4,000 plus. So if he does do that, then we got to negotiate early. Pay now or pay a lot more later. But I think the boy Hightower, I can see him as a Bear. I mean, I think we need something. He's just young. He's young enough where we can get 3 years, 3/4 years out of him or more. And I think it's the impact when I think about him. I would give up. I honestly would give up a 3rd round. Even if it cost me a 3rd round and a player, I would give him up, depending on if we have at least 5 to 7 picks. You know what I mean? We got 5 more picks, then I would give him up. And then we could probably get that back by giving up Kmet. But I mean, so I think those 2 players right there could fix the edge immediately. Meaning whether it's mid-season, trade deadline, I mean, I say go after Hightower. All right, fellas. I'm going to call back, get part 2. But bear down for life.
I can tell you right now, trade isn't a priority for the Bears. That's why even when they're talking about that episode, like the Bears they feel very confident over what they have here, and they should to a degree, right? So I don't think the Bears, like I've said it, if they do make a trade or a big move, it's probably going to come at the trade deadline after they have some time to evaluate and their comfort level in what we have as far as talent wise here and how those guys are performing. But I don't think like the Bears are coming into this with a mindset that, oh my God, we got to make a big trade to the point that it's a priority. It's an option there, and we'll see. But I do agree with you that next offseason has to be a very heavy trenches, defensive-based trenches offseason, in my opinion, unless, let's say Javon Dexter does have a breakout. Jordan Vandenberg has a breakout. Austin Booker has a breakout. Like, then maybe you don't have to be as much of a splash in the trenches, but it needs to be very trenches-focused. Trenches, I think safeties are going to be locked in with that. I also think you have to start preparing for the guys like Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson. You have to start bringing in guys that behind those guys that once they're ready to retire, their production starts dying off, that can step into there and replace that. So I think trenches heavy on both sides is where the offseason is going to live at a lot next year, and it could be running back too with whatever they decide to do with DeAndre Swift. So that's my thought process there. I want to thank you guys for everybody that left a voicemail, even Darius with his inability to count. And make sure you guys sound off down below in the comment section. What do you think about the position battles? What do you think about any of the voicemails that were left? Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or a live stream. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.